Hey everybody, just waiting a couple minutes to see if everybody joins. Give me a couple seconds here. I'm going to figure out about the recording option real quick, and we'll get started. All right, everybody, how are you guys doing? Tyler with Christmas Light Contractors Fiber Nights here. We're going to be going over some permanent lighting stuff since that's what I'm been specializing in the last year or two. I do want to point out the banner that's going across the bottom of the screen here. Can everybody hear me, first of all? If you guys could just write something in the chat, let me know. Okay, sounds great. All right, guys. So, first of all, we've decided that the price thing's going to change a little bit. Let's see here. Actually, I've got to change that real quick. It's a little messed up here. There we go. Okay. So it's basically, you're going to get a $25 gift card for all those that have signed in or that have shared. So if you guys haven't shared, go ahead and share, because every time you guys share, you get entered into a drawing. Every time you guys enter into a drawing, you get entered also, you get a drawing for the grand prize, okay? So at the end of this month, there will be a $250 gift card for the month for everybody that shared. So we're going to go over all the people that shared. I'm going to spin the wheel right now. And let's see here. Okay. I don't know if you guys, I mean, you guys can't actually see it. I guess I could probably make you see it next time or something like that. Cool. Clint Madden. That's the winner, Clint Madden. Okay. So Clint Madden gets, I believe the prize last week was a free Crystal Light Contractor t-shirt. So Clint Madden will send you out a t-shirt. Somebody will get a hold of you if they don't have your address, but otherwise, if you're one of Christmas Light Contractors customers, they probably have your address, so they'll just ship it on out to you. But congratulations. We're going to give out a $25 gift card now. This is for today's, if anybody's watching it and they share. We will do that before the end of the live. We'll just do it live, and we'll, it'll actually, I'll show the wheel at the end of the stream here, so that way everybody can kind of see it. And then we're going to, at the end of the month, we're going to do a drawing. So basically the last week of the month, whoever does that live, they're going to do a drawing, and that particular person, whoever wins, it's also going to encompass all the people from earlier in the month, and you're going to get $250. Now, here's where we've decided to up the ante a little bit. Look, anybody who went to the annual training out in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, I found out that Gatlinburg, Tennessee is where we're going to be holding our annual training next year as well. And if for some reason that were to change, it would still work at a different location. But as far as I know, it will be at Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's a lot of fun. People bring their families, their wives, their kids, and everything. There's a lot of stuff to go there. You guys can get some education out of it and stuff. So what we're going to end up doing is we're basically going to, pay for hotel, food, events, and some transportation, up to $1,000 of transportation to get your family out there. So you guys can head out there, have a lot of fun. That'll be the grand prize at the end of the year. All this stuff tallies up for it, and we will pay your way to get to that training, as well as hang out with your friend or family. It comes with food, drinks, a lot of fun. So hopefully people enjoy that. I know most people really enjoyed the experience there. It's quite a great vacation. It's really great if you're a Christmas light person, because you get to hang out with Christmas light people, which is kind of like a small niche. So there's that. Also, yeah, I think we're good. So I'm just looking at the camera here. I see I got a haircut and stuff. I was looking pretty rough. Sometimes you just don't realize it until you shoot some video of yourself and you're like, whoa, that's pretty ridiculous. So I will go ahead and resolve that, or I did resolve that today. But you'll see some photos and videos of stuff that I did over the last couple of days where it's like, oh yeah, you look pretty rough. So I don't just walk out of my bedroom looking fantastic like Fred and Donovan. So I do need a lot of work. And if anybody's wondering how I got this incredible head of hair, it's called a Flowbee. And if you guys aren't from the 80s, go look it up. Some of you guys are pretty young. Okay, let's talk about what we're gonna kind of talk about. As many of you guys know, I started Vibrant Nights or whatever. Vibrant Nights is something that, you know, CLC is part of as well. And they are basically, you know, helping on all fronts. We've got a lot of partners with Vibrant Nights to make sure. Yeah, I've heard George Clooney as well as uses the Flowbee. Either way, we are going to, this is one of the buildings done by a Vibrant Nights member and stuff like that. So I actually have a real backdrop. Most of you guys use digital ones nowadays, but I'm old. And so I use an actual backdrop, I guess. Anyways, there's, you know, Vibrant Nights is a company that I started. I haven't had much time to work on it much this year, to be honest. Been doing a lot of stuff, expanding that particular segment for and helping all you guys. I think we're of actual people that are now, you know, subscribing, paying members and stuff like that. I think we're up to like 53 or so. We're going to take a relook at it when we get to about 100. We are going to cap it out here pretty soon. There's only so much you can expand in a year. So thanks for all the members for supporting that endeavor. All the money at this point goes right back into making you guys successful. Okay. All right. So if you are interested in joining, I think there, like I said, I think the number that we're capping it at this year is a maximum of 60, but that also depends on how much marketing we can actually get done. Some of this stuff is very time intensive because we do market for commercial buildings for everybody in the group and stuff like that, especially if you got your own area, like there's nobody in your area and you would get free commercial marketing in your area. All right. That's a lot of rambling for stuff that doesn't really matter. So today we're going to talk about how to mount lighting and the different effects you're going to get. A lot of landscaping people, they know a lot of this stuff, right? They've been in landscaping. They understand all the reflections, the shadows, the textures that you can bring out by mounting permanent lighting different. Now, I pretty much use exclusively Minlian. That doesn't mean that that's the only thing I will use. It's just what I use. It's the best product I found at this point, and for a lot of reasons. And you're about to see all the versatility that occurs with the Minlian system. So just for the very basics of mounting track, right? If you're mounting it and you're using two-sided tape, we clean it, right, with denatured alcohol and a rag. That's all it is. Denatured alcohol, rag, rub it, clean it, and then you can put the two-sided tape on it. Don't try to put two-sided tape on anything that's like porous, like wood or something like that. It will not hold, okay? It may hold that in the initially, but you need to have some either brad nails or you need to put some screws in there to make sure that it isn't going to fall off. Otherwise, if it's on, let's say like a drip edge or flashing or metal or gutter or something like that, it'll hold. It's not coming off. You just need to make sure you clean it first. Anything that's metal primered and powder coated and things like that, it's not ever going to come off at that point. Either way, let's see here. So I wanted to point out a couple of things about the track. Once you've cleaned it, if you put it on two-sided sticky tape, you can do that. We're going to go over a little bit about that. We're going to start with some basics and go into more advanced ways of installation and stuff like that. And then we're going to do a couple pop quizzes of what people think it's going to look like in the end. So I did film some of this stuff and video some of it, watching me mount it, as well as you know, what it looks like at night and during the day, so you guys get a better idea of where you should be mounting it if you're depending on the effect that you're trying to achieve, and where you should avoid mounting it, because that's really the problem. This was all brought on because when I first started this in the very beginning of Christmas season, you know, I had my guys install some permanent lighting, and they ran with it, and when it was done, is like, oh man, I don't think that's gonna look good, right? And it was like the fascia was too deep; it was gonna hide the lights. And I was like, I don't think I was gonna like it. It's the only job we've ever had take down. Okay, so it did not work out. We lost that customer's trust. We ended up having to take it down. They didn't even want us to try to reinstall it properly or anything. At that point, it was just it was a bad day for everybody. But my mistakes can be what you guys, gain from. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to share my screen here real quick. This is going to be, all right. So everybody can see that. That's me. Here's my mouse. I'll use it for pointing some stuff out. Get rid of that comment there. And here we go. Okay, so this is just basic mounting track, right? So one of the things I will say is the first thing that you should do when mounting track is, clean the surface. Also, if you're going to be mounting the track to wood, you're going to be putting screws through it. So I use 3 screws per track. So understand that if I put a piece of track up there, I'm always putting 3 screws through it, okay? All right, here we go. So if you put 2 or whatever, or if you, let's look at this first. First of all, when you mount the track next to each other, you should always leave a gap, 1/8 of an inch. This is variable. So if it's really hot outside, you probably don't have to, if it's 100 degrees outside, you probably don't have to leave almost any room at all, 1/16 inch or less, because it's just not going to expand much past that point. But if you're mounting in the dead of winter, I'd probably scooch it closer to 1/4 of an inch. Each piece of track can shift. And if you start getting a bunch of pieces of track in a row that you didn't leave enough space for, that can create a ton of force. So it'll just pop track off is what will happen. So people ask that all the time. Always leave a gap, okay? Doesn't matter how you mount it, always leave a gap because it does expand. Okay, next. Installing the bulbs, pretty simple. They literally just click right into the track. You go one corner in first, and then you slide the other one in. That's the easiest way to do it. Pull it straight. Oops. Pull one corner in, and then push it in. Pull one corner in, and push it in, right? It's really simple. Now, I want to point something out here. If we go back, if you look right up here, maybe I can rewind it a bit. Okay. If you look right up here, you're going to see this bow down. Now, as I said, you should always put screws through this. Now, this is mounted to this fascia back here, okay? And I didn't want to put screws in here because I wasn't permanently mounting this. I'm just doing this for a demo. So I just put a couple of brad nails on the end to hold it in place. But you can see when you're playing around with it, you'll bow it down and stuff like that. That's why you put a 3rd screw in the middle, okay? So watch it as I play it here. You're going to see it moves, right? So definitely use 3 screws or it just won't work. Installing covers, it's just as easy as installing the lights. You literally just put one side in, click it in, and then you put the other side in, click it in. Done. Next one, same thing. Now, this entire line here is mounted directly to this fascia, but you can get the same desired effect. Let's say sometimes you don't end up with a fascia. That happens, right? Like some people mount the gutters so low that you absolutely have no space to mount it directly to the fascia because there just is no fascia. In those cases, there's another way to install it by mounting it to the bottom of the gutter. And that's what I'm going to show here next. It does make it sit out just a tiny bit. So what you see is you get basically about I call it 1/4 of an inch of gap again between the fascia and the gutter. But if there is no fascia to mount it to, then it's not going to really matter. There is no gap, right? So this is the finished product right here. That's what it looks like. And then here's, like I said, if you're going to mount it to the bottom of the gutter, again, clean the surface first, peel the tape off, stick it up there, keep a gap right here, right? And then you're just going to click the track into there. So this, I didn't actually push on this very hard because I still have no idea how I'm going to get this piece off. I didn't clean it either. I hoped that it would actually pull off. But unfortunately, what I'm stuck with is a piece of track I can't get off without damaging my gutter at this point. So either way, whatever. So I clipped the track into it. Now I'm clipping this, the covers onto it. And one thing I want to point out, if I go back here, is do you notice how this over here sits forward. That's about 1/4 of an inch sitting forward from the track that's mounted against the fascia. So you wouldn't want to interchange it, but it does give you the exact same result. So nobody's going to notice the 1/4 inch difference of it not being in a, against the fascia if you mount it underneath of the gutter itself. As far as the colors of the track, that is a question that somebody was going to ask, or Donovan asked. The colors come in 5 different colors right now. If there is a 6th color, it's likely going to be green, because green metal roofing is rather popular. But essentially, you've got black, brown, sand, which is like an off-white, or matches a lot with a lot of tan colors, white, and gray, right? So those are the 5 colors. The wiring comes in white, black, and sand. Now the black goes with brown, it goes with black, it goes with gray really well. It just looks like a shadow inside of there. So it looks better than if you actually use the colored strand. So I tried it. When I was testing stuff, I would paint the strand, put it in there and see, and it was too noticeable. In the future, very soon, we are going to be switching nearly to all black or clear. Right. So other companies out there, they use clear, right? OLO uses clear. Inception uses clear. There's a reason for it. It's because they've always had covers and stuff like that. We didn't really have anything to hide the wire, and we do now. So there's no real point of it. You can put white wire in here. You can put black wire. You can put green wire. You would never notice anything. So just so you understand, it's going to be a little easy to hold inventory if you're going to be installing these covers, because then you can use whatever color wire you want. The reason why we have 2 different colors, are going to have 2 colors of black and clear, is because when you're using pebble clips on the top of buildings and stuff like that, you just kind of want the wire to blend in with the sky, right? So whether it's black or clear, those are the 2 colors that blend in with the sky. And so those would be the 2 colors that we'll kind of offer because of that reason more than anything. We still will be stocking the sand color, wiring and stuff, and all the spacer cable. We're going to keep stocking all the colors because those have to hide very well within the building and stuff like that. But in general, I would say that those are the colors that we'll primarily be selling as clear and black, unless somebody requests other colors and stuff like that. All right, go to another question real quick. When taping the bottom of the gutter, just use the double-sided tape only? Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't use anything else. Just make sure it's clean. What I will say is there is a caveat to that. If the gutters are old and they've been painted like 2 or 3 times and they have a ton, like they use something really glossy, that's where you will find problems. The glossy stuff, because it's got like a lot of petroleum in it and stuff like that, and oils, eventually that doesn't hold forever. So if it's powder coated, if it's a flat paint, stuff like that, that will keep it good, right? So, all right. You might have yeah. That must be a regional thing. I hardly ever see any blue roofs or anything like that. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so we're going to go back to it. We're going to continue doing this lighting. So these point out, right? I mean, they don't always have to point out. That's why I like Minlian, because it will point out and it'll give you that effect of pointing out. There's a couple products out there that only point out, such as Everlight or Pixelite, and they're dedicated to point out. And they do a great job for residential because they're just single diode. Commercial, they might not be bright enough, at least not in my opinion from what I've seen. But but this is kind of a good in between. And one of the things I want to point out is, like, look, as much as we all know, I'm going to stop sharing here for a second. As much as we all know how incredible lights are when they're brighter, the cities don't. So this is an interesting light. Okay, this is the light that everybody's starting to use, but they're not using Minlian, so it's not quite the same. Not quite as good, although also not quite as expensive. So there's a downside to that. So this is a magnified lens. Each each light has a magnifier on it, right? Just the cover is built in to magnify it, so it spreads the light out. You get that more like Govee type of umbrella look and stuff, and it spreads the light out in all sorts of directions. So this is actually a very bright thing. The thing is, like, these things are very bright. Now, if you were on commercial and you were pointing these directly outward, that is not something that most cities are going to allow. In fact, I don't know of a single city that would allow it outside of Vegas. Okay. That is really, really bright when you're pointing these out. Now, I think you'll run into ordinance issues all over the place. This is designed to go downwards almost exclusively, right? So pointing down, because then it gets you more wall wash. This bulb here looks a little brighter, so it looks a little blingier and stuff like that. This is a great light for down, but it's really only down. Like, I would not ever try to use this in any other situation. The other thing about it, this is the power of Minley, and their technology is far superior. I have not found a light that is this light, that's this bright, where you can go over 100 feet, right? Gemstone, I think it's 70 feet because they have 9-inch spacing, which is, or so maybe it's 60 feet because I think it's every 75 lights they have to inject power. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's right around there. Most other systems that use this light are right around 100 feet or less, just depending on the amount of voltage they can put through here. With 100 watts, which is a 4.17 power supply, Minlian makes it just as bright, but it can go 200 feet, right? That is what has always set Minlian apart, is their technology. So this here can go, this is only 0.43 watts, do the math. If there were no cable or wire in here, each one of these lights or whatever, you would end up with, I think it's about 232 lights, if I'm doing my math correctly in my head. So I think that's, 232 lights, don't try it. I mean, you do get power dissipation in the wire line itself. But with the 5 amp power supplies that I stock nowadays, you could get even further than that. So this is a really incredible light. This is also not something that we stock at this point. This is just a sample so you guys can see it. If there is a demand for it, then we might look into it. But this is a 35 millimeter. Most people are using a 30 millimeter. That tends to be the standard for the industry. And again, for those just joining, you can share this live and you'll be entered into a drawing. There's 3 drawings, one at the end of every month, this one, and then a cumulative one at the end of the Christmas season. There will be another drawing. It'll be pretty exciting. Okay, back to sharing my screen here. And again, all you have to do is share and post a link or post a comment saying you shared, and that will get you entered into the drawing. Okay, so this is very important. We're done with mounting it on the front, pointing out. Now let's say we want to point downwards. Now, almost every single brand out there, they mount exclusively to the fascia, right? And that works really well if all your product does is mount downwards. Now, that's really good for residential, not so great for other things, but mounting downwards is essential for residential so you don't break ordinances and have problems and complaints and things like that. Plus, the reality is the standard for the industry on residential is that they're going to be pointing downwards, right? Most people, when they get permanent lighting, they're expecting it that it's going to point downwards. If you live out in the countries and stuff like that, might point it outwards or whatever. But anyways, when you're pointing it downwards, Minlian has to be fairly specific. So this is a track, and if you're going to mount it here, you would just screw it up in here, right to the bottom of the fascia. But look at how far the fascia drops down, right? Like the other products are designed to be mounted right behind the fascia and on the fascia itself. They literally just drill into the fascia so that way it holds it at the same level as the fascia itself. With that being said, Minlian is very versatile, but it doesn't have really a mounting system that works quite like that. So if you mounted it like this, you're going to have very poor results. Can anybody guess as to what is going to happen if you mount the lights here? What is going to happen on the wall of the house, right? What is going to happen if you're standing in front of it? You're not going to see any lights unless you get really close and look up, right? You won't see any lights. So if you want more of an even glow, sure, that works fine. There's a better way to mount it if you want an even glow. If you want a 100% even glow, you can mount it on the inside of this fascia and point it inwards. As long as you have a depth that's more than 8 inches, then the that entire house is going to look like it is more architectural lighting. It's going to go right underneath of it. It's going to be an even glow that fades down, probably about, we'll call it about 6 feet, 10 feet or so. And then it's going to go back to being completely dark. And you have like a, you basically have an architectural house. You won't see any of that. I've never seen anybody mount that in Christmas season like that, but in the summer, you definitely get that because people are more concerned with landscape lighting, architectural lighting, things like that. So you do get people that request that it's just going to be, an even glow. And if you really wanted to brighten it up, you could do 6-inch spacing or something like that. Then it'd be crazy bright. But either way, I would not be mounting it this way. I think this is what happened on the job that I had to take down. This, I knew before we even turned it on, it was going to be a problem. It was just not good. You do not mount it right behind a fascia. All that does is block the lights. You need those little lights because the lights themselves make it look kind of blingy, like jewelry. Okay, and this is basically jewelry for your house. So don't mess it up. Okay, the better way to do it. On Minlian, see this base bracket here that we were using? You can attach this straight to the back of the fascia if it's that deep, okay? Now, this is actually not a soffit really. It's hard to see, but this actually angles upwards. This is actually an eave, okay? A soffit usually comes straight across with a board, but this is an eave. So that's going to be important when seeing the final results of what you're going to end up seeing here. But you can mount this in the back and you can clip the track right to the center line here. Okay, but don't mount it with just tape. That tape holds it there for now, right? But you are going to need to brad nail in all across the top here. Okay, brad nail that in there so it doesn't just fall out or whatever. And then you're going to clip the track into it. So here I'm using a brad nailer. Okay, and this is basically showing what it looks like when it's all done. Clipped in. We've got the bottom pieces or the covers over the whatever, and it's now flush, right? And that's the important part. When you do this, it is now flush with the fascia. So it's going to be flush and you're going to get the bulb appearance. So that way it's not sitting up too high up against the roof and you can't see anything. So this is going to be this is the most desirable way if you're mounting residential and they want pointed down. That would be the way to do it. Requires a little more work depending on your house setup. Most of the time fascias aren't that deep, but I've seen them sometimes be 3 inches deep in Texas. So it is what it is. Okay, here's another way to mount it. Drip edge pointing out. Okay, this is on a different. The first thing you got to do is you got to put tape on it. Okay, so let's say you've got a piece of track. You've got to put the tape on there. Okay, every one of these kits comes with rolls of tape or whatever. So that way, if you want to put it on separate, you can do that. You basically just slide your thumb right here and you slide it down as you position the bottom piece. That will get all the air out of it. It'll push it all the way down. And try not to get overhang on the non-clip side. That clip itself will hide any kind of overhang if it's exactly 1 inch or so. But either way, you get that off. That's it. You just have to do that to each piece if you're going to do it. You can do that like pre-bulbing temporary lights or whatever. But this is a way that you can mount it. I always put clip facing upwards. By the way, this is the clip where I realized, I'm old, fat, and sweaty, and I realized that I needed a haircut. So if you're wondering why I was going into that haircut thing, that's it. All right, so it goes underneath of the shingles right there, and you just push it down, and that's it, guys. Like, it's really that simple. You push on it hard, and now you can just clip the lights in there, right? That's if you want it out. By the way, that piece is also stuck on my roof, so I'm gonna have to get my multi-tool up there and cut it off. I mean, they don't just come off once you stick them on there sometimes. So I purposely didn't clean it, but it didn't matter. But see, it's still, all these shingles, they basically overhang further than the actual fascia. So it's still underneath of the shingles. It looks like it's always designed to be there, right? I mean, it's a perfect little look there. And we'll see it. I didn't end up doing any further than that, but just to show you, you can get that same effect where we did it under this gutter over here and we pointed outwards. You can do it right here and point outwards. So you get a good look. All right. Next, let's see here. Okay. Undermounting the soffit. Now this is an actual soffit. Now this is the same thing. This is the piece we were up here looking at right here. But now we're going to mount it right below the soffit. Okay. This is a true soffit. This is not a actual eave or anything like that. So same thing. When you're mounting it up here, you're just going to position it, put the clip towards the fascia, and then you're going to put some screws in there. Now I'm putting brad nails in because I don't want it to stay permanently. Okay, so that's just me to put it up there so I can show you. Again, this is what it's going to look like, right? You've got overhang here, so you're going to block the lights, but I'm going to do it so you can see what it looks like as an end result and why you wouldn't mount it this way. Okay, but that's it. Undermount against the house. Now, this is actually a very desirable effect depending on the situation. On this particular house, I would never do it this way, and I'll explain why, but this is what it looks like. It's just up against the house. It's got siding on it. The siding is the reason why I wouldn't do it, okay? And I can explain that later. You can also choose to go anywhere in between. Like Govee, they require you or ask you to go 2.5 inches out from the house. That gives you the best result. And it really does. It's just that you got to chalk line everything and whatever else. And then you see an actual piece of track going 2 inches. When it's tucked up against the side or behind here, you don't really notice it, right? When it's right in the middle going down, you'll notice it. So I don't love it. But so here's, we're about to go over these here in a second, but here's the part right behind the fascia. And here's the part that's all the way over. So you're going to get a compare and contrast right here. There's going to be a line drawn so you can see the different ways that it works with lighting up the siding and what you're going to see of the bulb and stuff like that. So that's actually pretty important to see. All right. All right, let's see here. Boom. And all right, so here is the newest temporary clip. Now, I've been talking about this for a while, guys. This is a big deal. This is not like, something that's not going to, change the industry. This is obviously going to change the industry. So this is a clip, just like any other type of universal clip here. Only you're going to clip the actual, pebble light into this clip. And here's it with it actually clipped into that pebble clip. Here's what it looks like under the shingle. Just points in. You'll notice I point these down, and I'll explain why here in a second, but I point them slightly down because, permanent lighting is directional. So I'm showing you that you can twist it and you can point it any direction. So right here, you can point it up, you can point it down, and I put it one click that direction right here, okay? If you're sitting right next to another house and you're pointing it directly out, you better hope they have good blinds. They're not going to be very happy with you, right? So this keeps it on your property line a little bit, a little better, but it still goes out. I mean, this has penetration distance, right? So wall wash does not penetrate. It gets lost. If you go 2 blocks down, you don't see any wall wash on the house, okay? But if you're right next to it, it looks pretty grand because you're like, oh, wow, I see all that wall wash, but it's really the bulbs and the penetrating light that you see. All right, so what keeps it from spinning on itself? Those aren't circles, okay? If you actually look at this part that it sits in here, it's actually ribbed. It's got like 8 little slots that the bulb, it clicks, click, 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 click. It clicks into it, okay? So that actually holds it. Are these clips going to last forever? No, okay? Like the clips are definitely going to be something that you probably replace every 3 years or something like that. But it is something that will, last the entire season. It's only being used for temporary stuff. Like this is a temporary solution. This is not a permanent solution. But this is a way that during Christmas season, you can install it. And that is not the same as the 360. Sorry. I'm getting, I'm really bad about putting these questions up. But that was the first one. What stops from spinning for himself? And are these the same as the 360 mounts? The answer is no. They are not the same as 360 mounts. 360 will clip onto that base track, or if you have like a light clip strip base, that 360 has a built-in clip. You just clip it onto that base track, and that is more permanent. Okay. This is not permanent. This is just something that is a universal clip. It'll hold on to gutters and it'll hold on to shingles, just like any other circle clip or whatever that you guys have during Christmas season. Okay. But yeah, this is huge because one of the biggest reasons why people don't install permanent lighting is during November is because everybody's too busy, right? They do not want to mess around with permanent lighting. So this lets you get the lights up. You can set it up for them. You can get it on there temporarily, and you can tell them you'll be back to install it permanently after the Christmas season. Trust me, every year during November, there are way too many customers that want permanent lighting and not enough installers. I mean, I went to a trade show after Christmas season, and I had several people come by and say, like, I was looking at these for Christmas season, but I couldn't find anybody to install them. I mean, everybody was booked out or whatever, so I just ended up putting regular Christmas lights on. So trust me, if you make yourself available and you do something like this, you can put those up just like temporary lighting, and either switch them over like Donovan will do, right? Like he just said, some people you're gonna absolutely put them up there, and you're just like, dude, I don't have to do it. And it's real easy because you can set them up early in the season. You can start installing in September, and people aren't going to care anymore because you can set it up to be like, oh, okay, well, tell you what, we're going to set it up so that way it has lights that turn on for Halloween in the beginning, and then I'm just going to program it to turn to Christmas lights, or you could even do Thanksgiving lights and then Christmas lights, or whatever you want to do. Just work it out and have it pre-programmed, and then your guys can just go out there, slap it in there, plug it in, and walk away, right? Like everything is going to be pre-programmed at your shop and ready to install. It won't take any longer than temporary lights as long as you prep it, everything. So that's pretty good. The other question is like, what about do the 360 lights spin like that? No, they don't spin at all like that. They are fixed. They just have lights that point forward and backwards. So they shine both directions. But once you clip it onto that base track, it does not move anymore. But anyways, yeah, so the business models that I recommend for this clip, I mean, like I said, it will change the industry. Watch how many people copy us, right? I guarantee you, by next year, you'll be seeing this all over the place. Everybody's got like a temporary clip for their light. The only reason why we're talking about it now is because I know how long it takes to actually build molds, design it, get it into mass production, get it out for the season, and it's too late for most people, okay? They cannot do this anymore. It's too late for them in the season. So, what I will say is there's two business models. One is put it up early and get people excited about it, and you not have to discount. Like Fred puts up a ton of installs, right? In his company, he puts them up starting in September all the way through October. He is busy constantly all day long up until November, when it gets busy for everybody. And customers hate when he shows up at their door in September, even though they agreed to it. Like they'll agree to come out there, they'll agree to the discount, and that's the only way he can get them to put the lights up early, is giving them a discount, right? So he gives them a discount, he puts them up early, and then they still aren't happy. This makes them happy. You can put them up early, you can make it so that they're color changing, stuff like that. I think this stuff will end up costing you materials wise be right around like $550 a foot or something like that. Okay, so not that expensive if you're part of Vibrant Nights and stuff like that. And if you're out of Vibrant Nights, it's 10% more or so. So it'd be over $6 or so. But that's coming out. That's gonna be a big deal. There's a couple people that have mentioned that they want like an entire $100,000 worth of stock just to start transferring their customers over to this stuff. But that's it. But either way, like I said, you can either do it that way. The second model is you just put it in and throughout Christmas season when you're too busy, and then you just collect half up front. Like we'll say you're selling it for $30, because that's the other thing. There's in-season pricing. You get to sell it for more during Christmas season. Okay, so most people discount their rates at about we'll call it and Nathan's not wrong. Do charge more, okay? Like most people are paying $4 for a swap out, bulb swap out, if they're doing two colors. If you do Halloween, Fred has never done Halloween, and it's only because it takes him just as much time to do a bulb swap out as it does to install. He's already slammed. He can't take on any more jobs during that time of year. So why would he, do a bulb swap out right before Christmas in November when it's already way too busy for him? So it makes no sense. He's never done it. He's like, I mean, if they're not paying me $8 a foot, I'm not installing it in November, right? Like it doesn't make sense. This Might change it. I don't know. For him, he might have a thing against Halloween. I don't know. Honestly, he's my brother, but I don't know. Donovan and I were talking about that one time. He's like, "You think he would install lights for Halloween?" I'm like, "I don't know. I don't think he hates it. We used to trick or treat." So, anyways, let's see here. But yeah, like I said, you can definitely sell it as that. The second model is charge half up front, right? $15 a foot, we'll call it, and then charge $15 when you install it. If they back out, you got $15 a foot. You get your materials back for next year or for leasing or whatever you want to do with the materials, but those materials are gold. They're going to last a long time, right? So collect your money up front, some of it, and then collect up the rest of it. Set them at the end of your takedown schedule, and then just like each day that you're doing a takedown, just expect it to take basically a day, or depending on the job, half a day to remove the lights and install them permanently. And then you can collect the rest of 15. So not only does it allow you to install them quicker in the season and charge a premium price because it's, you're charging in season pricing. It also allows you, for the first time that I know of, it allows you to expand your season in the other direction. Everybody's always been focused on expanding their Christmas season earlier and earlier, but they're getting customer resistance once they get to September. Customers don't like you installing it so early. This allows you to install it the other way and keep customers happy. Nobody's going to be disappointed with this proposition. So this is a solution for your customer. It's a solution for you. It's a good deal. Okay, so as I mentioned, there's that. Here's what it looks like basically when it's up there, basically like Christmas lights. Here's it on the gutters, right? It's just a universal clip. So just like a Minling clip, it sticks on the gutters just like that. You can use whatever color wire you wanted, black, whatever. Here's the results. So we've basically gone through all the different ways that we can mount, and now we're going to show you what it looks like once it's mounted. So first of all, here's what it looks like with the clips. We're going to go in reverse order now. This is what it looks like from far away. I did a little bit of video so you can kind of see what it looks like when you're walking. And I did everything in warm white just so you can see. Of course, these are color changing. You can do whatever. You can see these gaggle of wires for all the testing that I've done, right? Like it just different lines going everywhere. I didn't want them all on at the same time. That would be a little ridiculous. Okay, so now we're moving on to this. So everybody, I'm sure you guys can see it, right? Like this is pretty noticeable difference. There's the line. The line is right here, right? Like between the two styles of mounting it. This, you see the bulbs up here. It looks pretty good. The bulbs are starting to get hit. And now I'm a little up higher, so this makes it a little worse looking than it actually is because my deck is raised up like 2-3 feet from down here at the doorway over here. But yeah, and by the way, we'll ask this real quick. How would you mount boxes for temporary? The answer is you probably wouldn't. There's really no reason to be mounting a box. In fact, I wouldn't even be mounting a box at all. Like you could literally just, mount it somewhere. I mean, not mount it, but like you could just position it somewhere, right? I mean, it could be you could put it in a Tupperware box and just set it in there. It doesn't even have to. I mean, realistically, they are, outdoor rated and everything else. On commercial buildings, I don't put them in boxes. I just put them on buildings and stuff, and I'll two-sided tape them to the back of a wall or something like that. There's no reason to put them in a box at all. So it's kind of like if you install, what is it, like Holiday Dynamics, they come with a controller. What else comes with a controller? There's Twinkly Pro, same thing, right? Like just put it somewhere. It's weather resistant. Just don't put it somewhere it's gonna like go in a swimming pool. Basically, that would be a problem. All right, so this is a little off topic, but I'll answer it since it just came up. How far does the extension wire go now, right? So, I mean, we're going to be bringing in a lot of extension wire sizes. So we already have 1 foot, 2 foot, 5 foot, 10 foot, 20 foot, okay? We're bringing in 25 and 50 foot, and mostly because a lot of people do commercial, okay? And this is a good way to get a lot of distance on it. Now, it's still the same as pretty much every brand for the most part. Pixelite is a little different. I'm not going to explain why, but Pixelite can go really far. They have a a proprietary type of technology that allows them to go really far in distance. I think they can, basically jump like 70 feet, and that's not a problem for them. But everybody else is kind of capped at the same thing, somewhere between like 17 feet and 30 feet. You can start running into problems. Okay. I always say, like, don't plan anything more than 17 feet. Or, okay. If it's 20 feet, yeah, sure. It's one cable. If you've got like 4 connections on it, let's say like you got 4 or 5s, you might run into a problem because every connection, reduces the signal a little bit more. But we have boosters now. Okay. So, Midlane has boosters, so you can jump 60 feet if you put a booster in the front of it. The booster just looks like a single pebble. It doesn't light up or anything, but it amplifies, it doubles the voltage of the signal line and allows you to jump 60 feet from that point. Okay. So as Donovan mentioned here, there's a clear difference. It does not go down very far, right? When you're over here, and the lights are right up against the building, it does not go down. And that's why I say this is not a good, I would never mount it this way because of the siding. Okay. When it is a very good idea to mount it is if they're stucco. So if you have stucco and it's textured and it's like that hand, stuccoed area instead of like the flat stucco is different. I mean, if you do like a completely flat modern stucco or something like that, then you're just going to see waves in the wall. That's probably going to give you exactly what you don't want. But if you have like the hand smeared stucco and it looks awesome, this is going to amplify that, right? It's going to really bring out the actual distance or the actual depth of that texture. And so that looks really, really good when mounting it right up. On here, this is the preferable way, right? There's a reason why you mount it this way. You'll see there's very little dark area up here because it's an actual soffit. But you just don't see the bulbs. It loses its luster, right? And that's a problem. That's why you don't mount it right behind the fascia if the fascia is deeper than the track. But there is but you can see everything else really even all the way down, okay? And so we'll keep playing this or whatever, pretty even. As you go down, you're going to see more and more of the actual shadow from the previous siding slat. It starts interfering with the light, or there's no light getting past that slat as you get further down. But either way, it lights up the ground. It goes all the way down. You're basically 8 inches, 10 inches away from the actual building where you're pointing it down. And so you can see it lights up everything all the way down here and everything. So this is just kind of a way that, like I said, the way you mount it has drastic results in the way that it's going to look when you're done. And here I am up on the top of the building. You don't even see the lights anymore, right? That's not a great look. You still see the lights here, but it's really dark down here. There's no light down in the bottom. Like, it basically stops at around here or so. And then you don't see it. Any of this light is just coming from over here. It's reflecting off of the side over there. But yeah, like I said, major difference there. All right. So we've got a question here. Can you booster to booster? The answer is no. It does not repeat the signal. It just amplifies the signal. It doubles the voltage of the signal coming in. So because it does not redo it, you cannot booster to booster. However, we have a second type of booster. It's a signal repeater, it's a signal sender and receiver. So it's just 2 pebbles now, but one is in the front, one is in the end. It changes the signal. It's a crazy technology that changes the signal to something that travels better, okay? And it can go up to like 200-300 feet. But if you go 200-300 feet, I hate to tell you, your voltage is going to be gone by then, right? So, it'll go, if you're not putting lights in between it and is a fresh voltage right from a power supply or controller or something like that, it will go, let's say, 300 feet. But you're going to have to inject power right away. So you're usually better off just, running connecting another controller and powering up a new controller as opposed to trying to get the signal from there. Okay. Let's see what Donovan has to say. He says, there's a sender receiver. Okay. Yeah. So that's exactly what Donovan was saying too. So, all right. Freeland, let's see here. When would you do a power T with a power source? And where would you do a booster to booster? Is there a difference between distance and power? Yeah, so look, boosters and power Ts are 100% different. A power T increases power or injects power into the system. So every time you inject power, you can go another 200 lights of power, okay? The distance of signal is what the booster does, okay? The signal only goes like I said, 20 feet or so, right? You need to boost that signal to go further if you're trying to, jump a long distance or whatever. Every time it hits a light bulb, that signal refreshes. The controller basically, this is what's great about 4-wire technology for those that don't know. Every light, it basically has a particular, it gets 2 lines of communication into it, okay? That control board in that light determines if one of those lines came bad. Let's say, oh, this is corrupted signal, it's not giving me the right signal or whatever. It'll throw that out, discard it, and it'll use the signal that is actually good, okay? And that is, that good signal here is basically what it uses and resends out on 2 fresh new signal lines, right? So in 3-wire, when you only had 1 signal line, the moment that one of those signal lines got bad, everything after got the wrong signal. On this, if you get a bad signal, it refreshes that signal, sends out brand new signal right at that light, and the next bulb sends out a brand new signal. So every time you get a bulb, it refreshes the signal, okay? That's the reason why you can't do long jumps. You need the bulbs to refresh the signal. All right. So yeah, Freeland says he's never had a job that's big enough. Look, I've never needed a job that's had a sender receiver yet. Okay, so it's not that common that you would need more than 60 feet. 60 feet is important though, because a lot of times you're going to be mounting that control box in the garage, and you need to jump that signal out. And if it's not convenient and you're jumping up to the 2nd level, it might be a 35, 40-foot jump. So that is very important, but the 200 foot, that's a little bit. This is a very good point for Nathan. I almost exclusively would refuse to give them the control of the lights during the Christmas season. You are going to be so busy. You do not want to be, you want to limit the amount of customer service you have. I would basically set it up for them. I would talk to them, say, we'll do it. We'll set up, however many schedules you want. Say like, we'll do 5 schedules for you between now and Christmas when you install it, like, right? Or maybe we'll just set up 2 schedules, Halloween, Christmas, those are the ones you get, or 3 or whatever, it doesn't matter. But just ask them how they want it organized and schedule it for them. It'll limit the amount of customer service you're going to have, because you do get a lot of customer service when customers first start using the controllers. It happened when we were using the other controllers and stuff like that too. You just get people that don't know how to set schedules, and all of a sudden they don't think it's working correctly, and then you have to go out there and educate them and stuff like that. So I definitely would remove the customer service out of it during Christmas season. Let that happen in your off season when you're not as busy. Okay. Let's see here. The Minion controller can control over 2,000 pebbles, but you inject power every 200 pebbles-ish. Other systems are 75 pebbles. So that's actually correct-ish. It's not 2,000 pebbles. It's actually 1,024. Although I'm not really supposed to disclose, but there is going to be something that's going to allow you to basically get you to 2,048 pebbles here. And flow everything in the same direction and things like that. So there won't be a building hardly that isn't going to be big enough for just a single controller. So when you think about that, it's like you got a single controller with power supply that's $350 or whatever, and it controls an entire gigantic building. This building that's up behind me, that was 2,000 feet. Okay. So if that was all on the same level and stuff, if it was a mall, some malls are like 4,000, 5,000 feet or whatever. So you'd still need multiple controllers, but this will get you on almost all main jobs. Okay, we're gonna continue on here so we can get through before answering a few more questions. But yeah, you can see like not a desirable effect. I don't love either one of these because I don't think, I would have never designed it this way. Pop question though. If I were to have mounted them right here, the way that we originally were mounting it, or not the original way, let's say we put the base track right on that drip edge up here, okay? And then we clip the track in so that way the lights were pointing down. What do you think that the end result is going to be? So what I mean by that is you've got a track along here that's pointing down all the way across the top here. What is that going to look like? I didn't actually make an example of that, but what is that going to look like, right? The answer is this whole front thing up here is going to light up, okay? It's going to basically cast lighting reflection on the entire front here, and you're also going to see the bulb. Okay, so it is a very desirable effect. You will see it when we see our last section here, which is under the gutter. So this is under the gutter. This is the way that most places would light it. So see all the shadowing right here? That's because this is an eave, right? It's not an actual soffit. It actually goes upwards at like a 30-degree angle or whatever. But it's even lighting down. You see the bulbs. This is exactly the way that I would have mounted it for a customer if they wanted downward facing. Right. So this is definitely something that, there you go. And I know we're running out of time here. So for those that, that want to see the wheel spin and stuff like that, just so you know, we will go ahead and spin the wheel when I'm done here. You can always come back to this. This does get saved, and then it ends up being broadcast again. So that way you guys can watch it in the off time. But either way, it will be broadcast here in just a little bit. But either way, we're getting close to the end. This is a nice, even kind of glow. It dims down as it goes down. It lights up the ground tremendously because it is pointed down and stuff like that. But you get the texture of the wall. This is the way you would do it if you're doing siding and you had this type of fixture or whatever. This is the most desirable way. Here is the where we pointed out under the gutter. This is actually a really cool effect. Anytime that I can point it out, I would rather point it out this way and put it under a gutter as opposed to something else, because you get this like, you get these light burn spots on the bottom of the gutter. And it actually is a really cool look. I have some pictures. If you guys look at the Goddard picture on Christmas Light Contractors, or sorry, if you go to vibrantnights.com and you look at the Goddard picture, the blue and white one, that's how that one was mounted. And you can see on a large building how it looks. It lights up everything. Because of the reflection here, it also lights up the ground. So one of the things I want to do is I want to fast forward it to the ground pictures. Look at how much is lit up on the ground, right? It's not lighting up over here. It's all dark because they're not pointed down. They're pointed forward. But this reflects from basically the light bulb to there and over onto the ground. And so it's basically, you get a lot of ground lighting as well. All right. So that's pretty much, different ways of mounting and a lot of things to consider when you're lighting it to get the best results. Okay. All right. So now that we're done with that, let's see here. I'm going to answer some questions, spin the wheel, and we'll all get out of here. Okay. If you have any questions, put them in here because I'm answering them at this point. Okay. Let's see here. I'm headed into year 5 of permanent lights and year 16 of home exteriors. I hold a GC. Okay, V100 license. Yes. Okay. So you must have asked a question up above asking about it. So that's okay. I might have missed that. So are they still temp lights 90 days? So that's the crazy part. They're temp lights, but they're not regulated. They're not absolutely. You can leave them up there permanently. And I assume you're talking about the actual clips, the new Pebble clips. You can leave them up there permanently. There's no rule that you have to take them down. They are rated for year-round use. The clips won't last, okay? They'll get dry and brittle and, they'll start breaking. So that isn't something that I would, do, leaving them up. But they are absolutely rated year-round. Any of these ways that we've shown can be left year-round because all the electronics are designed for year-round. I don't know what that is. Okay. So we're going to do the drawing. I guess if somebody could just send me over the names to put in the drawing, then we will go ahead and do the drawing here. Oops. Oh, there we go. I'm going to enter them in here. All right, now we're going to share the screen. And here we go. All right, congratulations, Freeland. We will get that gift card out to you. It's a $25 gift card for Visa, so you can use it on whatever you would like. And you're also entered in for the yearly thing, as well as this month's $250 at the end of the month, and then the yearly trip to Gatlinburg. All right, guys. Well, if you have any questions, this video will, reappear on Crystal Light Contractors. You can always respond underneath there, comment or whatever, and I will try to respond as much as I can. Hope I was able to answer most of the questions that you guys had today, as well as give you a better understanding of, how you want to, mount lighting to get the desired result that you want for any particular building. Okay. You guys have a great rest of your day, and thanks for hanging out with me tonight.